The little fisherman caught a valuable big fish, hooked it directly, and then handed it to his father. After receiving it, his father swam straight to the coral reef and tied the fishing line to the rocks. I wonder how big the fish that can swallow such a long fish must be. The answer will be revealed soon. Filipino fishermen often use this method of hooking fish for fishing. Although it looks simple, it is indeed not difficult. First, you need to invest more money to buy fish. Each time you use this method, you need to use a cabin full of good fish, each weighing about 2 pounds, but the profit will definitely be more than the cost. Of course, the placement of the bait must be carefully selected. Generally, it is placed near coral rocks with various aquatic plants, accurately positioned. In short, it should be anywhere the fish often pass by. Moreover, the fishermen choose brightly colored small fish, whose vibrant colors underwater can quickly attract predators' attention. Today, the coral reef looks peculiar, and the fishing lines are mostly wrapped around protruding coral branches, making the prey more visible. After setting the trap, the fisherman did not rush to collect the net. After 4 or 5 hours, estimating that the fish should have bitten, the fisherman sent his youngest son down to retrieve the hooks. Although he is just a child, his diving and breath-holding abilities are top-notch. He quickly found the first hook with a large red and white fish on it. The fish, frightened by the child, tried to escape, but the child swiftly pulled it over. Then he brought it to the boat and handed it to his brother. Although the snapper itself is not valuable, this fish has a bright and shiny skin that even reflects sunlight. Such a fish can easily sell for 200 pesos, making this catch profitable. The next fish, realizing the danger, quickly hid in the seaweed. The child saw it struggling violently and left it alone for a while. When it was exhausted, he pulled the fishing line and brought the fish up. This grouper was large, estimated to weigh around 10 pounds. Groupers are more valuable than snappers, and such a fish can certainly earn 3,000 pesos. After catching the big fish in a row, the little fisherman was full of enthusiasm. He found another trap. This time, the fishing line was tangled with the seaweed, and the big fish was hiding in the seaweed, not daring to come out. Fortunately, since he was diving to catch fish, he would have taken some effort if he were retrieving the line from the boat. This was another large grouper, weighing about 7 pounds. Another secure gain of over 2,000 pesos. In just 20 minutes, the fisherman's income surpassed 5,000 pesos. I can't imagine whether the boat's hold will be able to accommodate the next fish caught. With experience from the previous catches, the little fisherman pulled the twisted fishing line and soon saw a big grouper. Without saying much, the child threw it directly into the water tank. Today, there are really many groupers. The little fisherman continued to search for the next target. This fish was hidden very well, stirring up a lot of muddy water, and at the end of the fishing line was another huge grouper. I have lost count of how many groupers have been caught today, and the good luck didn't end. When he retrieved the last hook, there was another grouper lying on the rocks. At first, I thought it was a dead fish, but it suddenly moved, which was very lucky. Guess how much these fish fetched at the seafood market? This time, it's the popular fishing segment. What kind of fish did the little fisherman catch that made the boat spin several times while hauling it in? The fish hadn't fainted yet, but the person was already dizzy. 5 minutes later, the fish surfaced. It turned out to be a huge trevally. No wonder it took so much effort. This fish weighed at least 15 pounds, and it was only his first catch of the day. The small fish in the water tank were not his catch, but bait for catching big fish. He had just cast the second line when the fishing lines got tangled, a common issue with long lines. But luckily, after solving the line problem, he quickly caught another fish. The child worked hard to reel in the line, making it seem like a toy. In less than 3 minutes, he pulled it up. Looking closely, the fish was so big that it almost strained the child's waist. It turned out to be another huge trevally. A couple were of the same size and the small boat wouldn't be able to hold them. I now understand why his water tank takes up so much space. A smaller one wouldn't be able to hold the fish. The next cast was quickly made. I wondered if he would catch another trevally. Sure enough, another big fish was hooked, and the little fisherman was panting heavily. Just these 3 fish filled half of his water tank. The child pressed the fish down to make room for more. Then he took out another small fish and cast the hook again. He prayed that he wouldn't catch another trevally this time. However, when he saw the big fish, the child was dumbfounded. It was another big trevally. Was it one after another? Although it was a bit laughable, the child was still happy with such a harvest. As long as he could make money, he was satisfied. The 5th fish didn't disappoint him either. This trevally was very flat. Like a sheet of white paper, the child skillfully threw it into the boat's hold. I wonder when it will catch a grouper. The next cast was more interesting. The bait was not completely swallowed by the big fish and could be reused. Thus, the child returned to the village's seafood market with a boat full of trevally. After weighing them, he received 6,500 pesos from the boss. This time was also interesting. The little fisherman encountered a tough opponent. He had been struggling with the fish for a full 10 minutes without pulling it up. Seeing his grim expression, you could tell how strong the fish was. Even with alternating hands, he couldn't ease the fish's power. The fishing line seemed endless, never running out. Every time the big fish exerted force, he leaned forward immediately, just stabilizing himself and not falling into the sea exhausted all his strength. Seeing this, his father realized his son's strength was insufficient to fight the big fish, so he took over the fishing line. With his father's strength, he subdued the big fish and pulled it out of the water in less than 2 minutes. It was a nearly 10-pound coral trout. While coral trout can sell for 500 pesos per pound in the market, such a fish would earn 5,000 pesos. No wonder it took so much effort, but it was worth it. The fish was quickly put into the water tank to keep it alive before selling it. With this lucky start, the father smiled happily and prepared to cast the lines again with his son. This time, the son caught a fish first, using all his strength to reel it in, wanting to catch a big fish to show his father. On the other side, the father also caught a fish, but his luck was better, catching the fish in a row. One was a snapper, and the other a coral trout. Just as he entered the water tank, the son quickly pulled up to fish, both coral trout. Although the son wasn't as fast as his father, the fish he caught were of better quality. After a short rest, the father and son continued fishing. Their skilled fishing techniques were surely passed down through generations, as the fishermen here learned to fish from a young age, easily handling small fish. The son then caught another nearly 4-pound coral trout, earning another 2,000 pesos. This is making a fortune in silence. Just as the son was preparing the next set of lines, the father also caught a fish. What kind of fish was it? It turned out to be just two inexpensive snappers, a common fish in the Philippines that doesn't sell for much. But the son's catch this time was different. From the difficulty of reeling in, it was clear it was a big fish. When he pulled it up, it turned out to be a trevally. At this moment, father also brought a fish. Their luck was high, catching various species, and now a big barrelfish was caught. Although this fish is not common, it isn't very valuable. Next, the son pulled up to similar-sized coral trout, earning another few thousand pesos. I can't imagine how much the entire boatload of good fish would sell for. Can anyone guess? This experience was even more exciting. What kind of giant fish made the little fisherman unsteady on his feet? He had been contending with the fish for a long time, but the fish's strength had waned, and the little fisherman was already sweating profusely. The big fish fought desperately underwater, forcing the little fisherman to constantly change his stance to control it. Fortunately, after a long struggle, the fish finally tired and was slowly pulled out of the water. It turned out to be a nearly 4-pound grouper. The child was very excited and threw it into the water tank. Before this, he had already caught a valuable coral trout. This beach was their new fishing spot, undeveloped and unpolluted, full of vibrant big fish. Each time they came to fish for half a day, they could bring home a bucket full of fish. He had prepared enough sincere bait, fresh and substantial. Throwing it into the water, it took less than half a minute for a fish to bite. The little fisherman steadied himself and prepared to reel in the line. Although he was young, he was strong. After some steady and forceful reeling, a large ratfish surfaced, a 1-pound coral trout. Although not big, it was worth $500 per pound. Still very profitable. The child continued to cast the bait, wondering what awaited him this time. Seeing the fishing line change, the little fisherman quickly focused. With alternating hands, he reeled in the line. Filipino fishermen probably don't have scapulohumeral arthritis problems, as they exercise daily, keeping their shoulders healthy. Under his skilled technique, the big fish soon lost its ability to resist. With its bright color, it must be a coral trout, and this fish was exceptionally large, at least 4 pounds, which alone could sell for 2,000 pesos. The little fisherman was becoming more proficient in his fishing skills. Just as he was about to turn around and boast to his companion, the fishing line suddenly sank, and another fish was hooked so quickly, the little fisherman cautiously shook the line a few times, feeling the fish's struggle weaken, and then forcefully reeled it in. Although the fish didn't struggle much, it was very heavy. Each pull of the taut fishing line cut into his palm like a knife, but the child was used to it and didn't retreat. Instead, becoming more determined, he knew it was likely a valuable big fish and couldn't let it go. After 5 minutes, He pulled up a big grouper. This fish was really big, with its mouth wide open as if it could swallow the other fish in the bucket. Just this big grouper and a large coral trout could bring him over 5,000 pesos, more money than I earned from screwing screws for a month. Where is the fairness? Where is the address? If you enjoyed it, please like and follow. Follow me to discover a new world every day.